The Great Lakes. Their beauty and power are breathtaking. The 10,200 miles of shoreline attract tourists from around the globe. It's the largest inland water transportation system in the world. Boating, hunting, and other recreational opportunities abound. 40 million people get their drinking water from Great Lakes. And developers flock to build homes, resorts, and marinas.
The Great Lakes themselves are 15 to 20,000 years old, and they really sort of date back from the last major glaciation. So when the glaciers came down from the north, they carved out these very large potholes, if you will. And then what we were left with was big basins that water could drain into, and hence the formation of the Great Lakes. And so people were attracted to settle around the Great Lakes for the obvious resources. So now the Great Lakes are some of the most populated areas in North America.
Despite the power and immenseness of the Great Lakes, it's a fragile ecosystem that faces constant threats and challenges. 95,000 square miles of water that serves as home to more than 4,000 species of birds, waterfowl, fish, invertebrates, amphibians, and microorganisms. The 6 quadrillion gallons of water in the Great Lakes represent more than 1/5 of the world's and 84% of North America's surface freshwater. Pour all that water over the 48 contiguous states, and it would be nearly 10 feet deep from coast to coast. Playing a critical role in protecting the health of the Great Lakes are coastal wetlands. Referred to as the Great Lakes kidneys, coastal wetlands have been decimated over time.
We've lost 50% of the coastal wetlands basin-wide. In some regions, like in Saginaw Bay, many of those coastal wetlands were drained for agriculture, and in that region, we've lost 95% of the coastal wetlands.
Wetlands were considered marshy areas filled with mosquitoes and bugs that you didn't want, and so they were focused on the negative part. In fact, when you talk about the southern part of the lower peninsula of Michigan being developed in the 1830s, the big concern was malaria. So they drained all these wetlands because they wanted to get the water off the land, and they wanted to dry it up to get rid of the mosquitoes and the pathogens that came along with them.
From the pristine waters around the Apostle Islands in Lake Superior and Beaver Island in Lake Michigan, to stressed waters in Lakes Erie and Ontario, human impact on the Great Lakes has taken its toll over the years. Maybe the most dramatic was in 1969 when the Cuyahoga River in Ohio, which flows into Lake Erie, caught on fire from intense pollution. A few miles away, industrial pollution from a salt mine wiped out Mentor Marsh. The control of water levels in Lake Ontario destroyed a critical barrier beach wetland in Braddock Bay. Invasive species, contaminants like PFAS, the dumping of medical waste, sewage, and industrial chemicals, climate change, and a multitude of other factors keep the Great Lakes under constant stress.
The Great Lakes is such an incredible resource, but it's also just an incredible source of economic power, aesthetic power, beauty, recreational opportunities. It's just a magnificent resource. The whole concept of environmental protection in the United States evolved over the last 30, 40, 50 years. There's just been an awakening and a much greater recognition of how important these lakes are and why it's so important that we take good care of them so that they will in turn help take care of us.
Viewed by many as useless swamp, the reality is the health and survival of the Great Lakes hinges on coastal wetlands. Now, scientists have sprung into action to protect and restore this critical ecosystem.